Sardinia, Italy. Today, this Mediterranean island off the west coast of the Italian mainland is well known as the playground of the rich and famous. But 2,000 years ago, Sardinia was home to one of the most mysterious cultures in all of the ancient world.
There's actually tens of thousands of sites on that particular island, and even a pyramid. This is quite rare in Europe, and so it's got a vast megalithic culture going back several thousand years. And it really is an overlooked place when it comes to archaeology.
Sardinia was once home to a very mysterious and arcane culture called the Nuragic civilization. The island is replete with the residue of megalithic constructions. All over the island, you find these megalithic stone towers called nuraghi, which were constructed sometime in the distant past. You also have the megalithic tombs of the giants.
Giants? Is it possible that Sardinia was once the home of an ancient race, strangely different from our own? But if so, where did they come from? And perhaps more importantly, where did they go? It was to find answers to these intriguing questions that ancient astronaut theorist and publisher Giorgio Tsoukalos traveled to Sardinia in May of 2018.
Giorgio!
How crazy is this place?
Isn't this something?
So great to meet you here in Sardinia.
He had also taken advantage of the trip to meet up with Oak Island treasure hunter Marty Lagina, who over the years has been a frequent visitor to the island and shares Giorgio's fascination with it.
You know, I've been here the last time about 35 years ago with my parents on summer vacation.
No kidding. I'm of Italian ancestry, and I came here, I think it was 4 years ago, and I was here on an Italian language course. So in the process, I find out about these nuraghis, and I find out about these ancient things, and I find out that nobody seems to know anything about them. And very seriously, I'd like your opinion about all this stuff.
Right.
I don't know whether this means anything, but when I was talking to some of the locals, you know, they talk that there are a lot of legends of giants, you know, giants.
Really?
Does that mean anything?
Absolutely, because only a few years ago, I was exploring on Malta, and there, the entire civilization is based on the idea of giants.
Really?
And some have suggested, according to the ancient astronaut theory, that when the gods descended and mated with the beautiful women of Earth, they produced giants. So every time there are stories and legends of giants, I find that very interesting.
Well, there's a lot of material here, so let's have a look.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
To begin their investigation, Giorgio and Marty traveled to the National Archaeological Museum in Cagliari, where some of Sardinia's oldest and strangest artifacts are on display.
It's just all weird. And with this helmet on, those weird eyes.
Featured in the museum's collection are a number of enormous stone statues known as the Giants of Monte Prama. They were first discovered in 1974, when a local farmer stumbled upon a large carved stone protruding from the ground. Archaeologists quickly took over the site, recovering more than 5,000 broken remnants. Mainstream historians suggest the statues were carved by the Nuragic people, a civilization that is believed to have inhabited the island for 2,000 years, emerging in 1800 BC and mysteriously disappearing around 200 AD. But what also makes the statues so mysterious is the strange way in which the faces are carved, not so much resembling humans, but what some might describe as robots.
The giant statues found at Monte Prama are approximately 7.5 to 8 feet tall. You have warriors and boxers and archers. The statues themselves are just noted for their size, and it's thought that they represent the Nuragic people, that this is actually what we might have that looks like them.
If he's a model of that, why doesn't he have disc eyes? Because he doesn't have disc eyes. And he certainly could.
What I find intriguing is that the giants of Monte Prama, although they were discovered in the 1970s, were not put on display until sometime near the year 2000. And I believe that these statues simply do not conform to the conventional archaeological narrative on the island, and instead point to the reality that there is something very unusual happening on this island.
This is very human, except it has weird eyes
And disproportionate.
disproportions.
When you look at these stone figurines, they are extremely peculiar. They give the impression of actually being giants. The strange things about the statues is that they have these very strange circular eyes that almost give them an otherworldly feel.
In 2018, astrophysicist Travis Taylor traveled to Oak Island off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada, where, according to legend, a treasure was buried more than 200 years ago. Travis met up with the island's current caretakers, Rick and Marty Lagina, to test his theory that a band of warrior monks called the Knights Templar was behind the mystery, and that they recorded the location of the treasure with a star map.
So you've done some investigative work and you have some stuff to show us, I understand.
Yeah, I do. I got to thinking, is there something that archaeoastronomy might have to do with the island? So I overlaid the constellation of Taurus on the island. What we have are all of the stars aligned onto the island. This is a star map. Not only are the stars used for navigation, you can look at the constellations in the sky and also use those to map out points on the ground. And that can also act as like a treasure map. There's a huge boulder over here. We walked across the island to those GPS coordinates, and interestingly enough, 6 out of 7 of the points we went to...
Is that not a giant stone right there?
There was a large boulder, weighed several tons, that was right where the star coincided with the map on the island.
This is one of your points, and there was a stone feature here, a very obvious one.
That's wild. The boulders, they weren't indigenously there. They were put there on purpose. So the constellation was drawn out on the island. The question is, why?
Yeah, you can't deny that you're hitting on all cylinders, so that's cool. On to the next. Could those stones that we saw be markers that were put there by some human beings a long, long time ago to correspond with a star map? The answer is, of course they could.
While the Oak Island treasure has yet to be found, many experts believe that constellations can be used as a type of code.
It's possible that other information could also be used by laying star maps on the surface. They could be leaving a message like, whoever built this, that's where they came from. It's also possible that this could be a message on how to build or do something.
Polly Latino, Sardinia, May 2018.
Here we
Are
go.
you excited?
Oh, very,
oh
very
yes,
much
so
so.
follow me, please.
Giorgio Tsoukalos, Marty Lagina, and archaeological guide Ivana Malu traveled to the sacred well of Santa Cristina, an ancient structure believed to have been built sometime around 1800 BC, not for the purpose of withdrawing water, but to track a very specific celestial event with incredible precision. Upon their arrival, they meet with archaeoastronomer and author Mauro Pepino Zeta.
Now, wait a minute. These are modern, right? This is reproduction. No, I mean it.
No, I know.
This is reproduction.
It's what people say. When they are here, they say, oh, Ivana, that's a fake. What is that here? Can you imagine the well here is 3,000 years old?
No, honestly, these are the original stones?
Really, believe me.
Wow.
100%. That is built to last for the eternity.
Well, this is spectacular.
The well of Santa Cristina demonstrates such incredible masonry skill that archaeologists struggle to explain how it was built by so-called primitive people. Based on his years of research, Giorgio believes that both the stonework and the well's connection to celestial events may provide important clues for the theory that a race of extraterrestrial giants once inhabited the island.
Do you want to touch with your hand the sophistication of the wall?
Yes.
Yes.
We want to go down there.
Yes, of course, we have to. You can touch it with your hand.
This is crazy. Look at this. It is round. It's a perfect circle. You can't put a piece of paper. There's no mortar used to put this stuff together. I mean, è incredibile questo.
Not only is it constructed beautifully, the foundation is below the water table, okay? That's very hard to do. I can tell you from Oak Island, working in the water is difficult.
It's hard.
This is spectacular.
In armonia col punto in cui la luna arriva al punto più alto.
And this cupola is really built to observe the moon in its highest light.
E il massimo
Its maximum
arriva ogni 18 anni e 6 mesi.
is
I get it.
every 18.6 years. The full moon reflects its light in the deep water over there.
What Ivana is describing is a celestial event known as the lunar standstill. The time when the moon reaches its highest point in the night sky and appears to stay there for hours until it finally descends. But how is an ancient civilization, supposedly one without mathematics or even a written language, able to conceive of such a precise and ingenious method of tracking such a rare lunar cycle, one that likely occurred no more than once or twice in an average lifetime?
The question is, there was no written language. How was this planned?
No, si può costruire senza scrivere.
You can build without any plan, even if you're not an architect, he said.
You're going to build your house without a blueprint?
No.
No.
Well, clearly, someone told the local people how to place these stones into different areas because it was a connection to the celestial realm. And then afterwards, this became a place of worship. The place of worship only begins after something extraordinary happens, not before.
So you're surmising the technology was given to these people.
The engineering knowledge, because this screams mathematics.
Yes, it does. I will certainly concur to this extent. Someone or some ones had extraordinary knowledge here. This is not easy to build.
No.
Oak Island, Nova Scotia, Canada, 2017. Rick and Marty Lagina returned to the land they purchased here 10 years ago in an effort to solve a centuries-old mystery, one that began in 1795, when 3 Nova Scotia farm boys set out to explore the island after witnessing strange lights coming from its shore in the middle of the night. According to a legendary curse, 7 men must die before the island will reveal a treasure that lies buried deep beneath its surface. So far, 6 lives have been lost in pursuit of the treasure.
The island has been studied and explored by generation after generation of earnest seekers. The current owners have brought in much heavier equipment than has ever been used before, and they are dedicated to finding out the secret of Oak Island.
But some ancient astronaut theorists believe they already know what will be found.
There was a giant shaft that had been dug into the island, very, very deep. And at certain levels, tunnels had been built from the ocean that came to the shaft. And so you have to wonder if people have gone through a lot of effort to protect something. And I would suspect the Ark of the Covenant.
The Ark of the Covenant? The golden chest built to house the 10 Commandments? How would this have ended up buried more than 100 feet beneath the earth on Oak Island? And what does it have to do with a curse? Ancient astronaut theorists say the answer lies more than 5,000 miles away, with a curse that dates back to the 14th century BC. Egypt, Valley of the Kings, November 4th, 1922. A young boy, working for a British excavation team led by Howard Carter, is riding his donkey home one night when suddenly the animal's hoof slips into a hole below the sand. Thinking he may have stumbled upon the entrance to a tomb, he rushes home and alerts Carter.
When Howard Carter came in, they dug feverishly all the way through the tomb, 72 steps, till they reached the sealed door of the tomb, which was right here. He instantly made a hole into the wall before destroying it, and Howard Carter peeked in and said, and I quote, "I see wonderful things," which was very true. Right inside King Tut's tomb, there were wonderful things. This tomb was packed with gold and treasures.
Incredibly, Howard Carter and his team had unearthed the tomb of King Tutankhamun. To this day, it is considered the best preserved and most intact tomb ever found in the Valley of the Kings. Although the excavation team achieved instant worldwide fame for their discovery, their triumph was short-lived.
During the opening of the tomb of King Tut, all the workers were very wary, the Egyptian ones. It is known that ancient Egyptian tombs have the curse of the pharaohs. Whoever enters the tomb first will die.
While most Westerners involved did not take the ancient stories of a curse seriously, the opening of King Tut's tomb was almost immediately followed by numerous tragedies, some with eerie connections to the alleged curse.
Soon after the opening of the tomb, a messenger went to the archaeologist's house. This was Howard Carter. He found Carter's beloved canary in the mouth of a cobra, which was the symbolic snake of the pharaoh.
Later, we learned that Lord Carnarvon himself was bit on the cheek by a mosquito in the very same place that King Tut, it turned out, was also wounded. He died within weeks of a blood-borne disease, very mysteriously.
No fewer than 7 deaths have been associated with the opening of the tomb, the same number of lives that Oak Island must claim, according to the legend. Could there really have been a curse protecting King Tut's tomb? And if so, what was behind it?
Curses were a tool of Heka, the magical technology that the ancient Egyptians used that they said was a gift of their extraterrestrial gods. This suggests that the curse of the pharaohs is an extraterrestrial force, or perhaps even technology, that the ancient Egyptians were utilizing to protect these tombs.